Autism Job Club Conference. Great job, Michael. You just came off stage. Awesome job. Awesome
so
job.
much, man.
You were hilarious. And I'm not autistic, but my wife's son is autistic. So I kind of came into this through a second marriage. But I can relate to a lot of, and you had them howling. How long have you been doing comedy?
Thanks. Bruce, I've been at this since I was just turning 14 years old. It was really cool because my mom got wind of this program called it was called the Stand Up for Mental Health program that was operating out of Guelph. So this guy, David Grenier, was my hero, you know. He was operating out of Vancouver, but was doing like a Skype stream through to Guelph at this community center. And what he wanted to do was create a kind of a group therapy program in which it fosters people's talents as comics. So basically, he was teaching people how to mind their own struggles with their respective diagnoses, and that could be like a neurological variation, or that could be a psychological disorder, whatever it may be. It's about teaching them how to take that angst and turn that into humor.
Okay. Yeah. Well, you're very good at how long? So you've been doing this since you're 14. You're 21. You're not even old enough to do this yet. Like, you probably can't even get into half the clubs.
I'm not dated enough.
Especially in the States, yeah. So you and your dad got a cool thing going. He speaks. He's speaking right now, so he couldn't be on. But you guys go around kind of speaking and joking. That's awesome.
No, it's really wonderful. You know, he's my driver. He's a dad.
Yeah. I had the pleasure of meeting him this morning, and he's a really, really great guy. So you should be very proud, and he's very proud of you. Now you go around, you were just saying you were in Seattle, I think it was, or something. So how do you go around? How do people find you? Do you just go to autistic conferences, or how does this work?
Well, I've been very blessed that in the early going, my career started to pick up word of mouth. I think right around the time I was turning like 16, 17 years old, I was doing almost exclusively autism-based functions, you know. So, and people talk, you know, because it's sort of like there are several different organizations with their own kind of prerogatives and services, but it's kind of like Canada's population, you know. It's actually smaller than you give credit for, right? It's fairly contained. People talk, but your name gets passed around. So right around that time, I think I was lucky enough. My name got kicked around and ended up it got kicked around to the Maritime. So I did gig out there, and then not too long after that, a company affiliated with theirs. In Denver, Colorado, picked me up. So that's how I kind of got my name there in the States. Wow. So then it started spreading from there. And then I got involved with a group called Asperger Experts, which is a phenomenal program out there, edited by Danny Reddy. Just a great group of guys that offer this great kind of family-based group therapy. So what they do is they have me come in there and open up their conferences, their 2-day conferences. So that's kind of how I've been building my base out in the States, is through these guys. So I got them to thank for a lot of that.
Wow. And you're, you know, comics get a bad rap at the best of time until they hit a certain level, right? You know, like the famous guys, they can kind of pull over anything they want. But we're always wondering, you know, if it's going to offend somebody. And you had the crowd just going, like, you're their hero. I could see that. Have you ever had where someone has not taken the joke the way you intended it to go?
Most people are pretty cool about it. It's that's the difficult thing because it is a sensitive topic.
That's right.
So I'm just trying to. The difficult thing is that you're trying to impart some kind of wisdom or education, which again sounds very pompous and arrogant coming from a 21-year-old man.
That's
right? It's frankly, I'm not old or jaded enough to really be to even be in this line of work. I've been very lucky with the go that I've had, but what I love is that this is an audience that gets it. Like, this is a group this is a set tailored for this particular group, and I have different sets that are tailored for different audiences. You know, like this set would be quite different to a predominantly neurotypical audience. Right. So like if I were working the clubs or something, or doing a set where that wasn't at an ASD based conference, you know, I like the material would be more or less the same, but like things would be a little bit soft and things would be a little less extreme because people are actually pretty open to the idea of entering something. It's more that they just don't know, you know.
That's right.
Because once you say that you're part of something, you kind of give them permission to laugh and you give them permission to feel comfortable because they're like, okay, this is a guy who's lived through it. This is a guy who has told us it's okay, don't feel uncomfortable. This is a thing that I've struggled with, but I've now turned into a joke, and you can feel comfortable laughing at. But here it's sort of like you don't even really need to get to that point because everyone here, a lot of them are kids with ASD. Like a lot of these guys are I'd say I don't know, average would be late teens to early 20s here, you know, out of college. So I don't know, I'm just rambling at this point, but it's most people, they respond pretty well. I've done shows that have not gone well, but I think that no one's ever really been offended.
Okay, cool. So now do you do, and you don't allow them to tape your shows, so we didn't do any of that. But do you do roughly the same show where you go? Do you have a couple different topics you talk about, or how does that work?
Well, it's a try. I don't want to give away everything, but it's kind of like the way that I operate is you get up there and you have your base. You have your first like 2-3 minutes, and frankly, I have about 45 minutes of material I can say I can perform comfortably with. And if I needed to, I could maybe stretch to 50, but that's kind of pushing it at this point. But like for an audience like this, or actually not just an audience like this, I think with every room, you notice something special about each room, you know? So that's why I actually don't mind in a room like this, because again, hecklers are a pain, but I don't mind hecklers in this kind of an environment, because it's sort of, I have these beats in my mind of like, okay, this is what this guy's about, this is how they operate. They're here just to have a good time. And that's the thing with most hecklers, actually, is that they're just there to have a good time. I mean, most people jump to, my friend jokingly calls it DEFCON 1, right? Because it's all ego. Because, I mean, you're up there by yourself on stage, you feel like if people aren't laughing at you, you've lost all your power. But frankly, people are there just to have a good time. So don't gaslight them, you know? Just to find a way to work around it. Remind them, hey, it's good that we're having a good time, but try and get that focus back to you. And in this room, this is an easy room for that, because they're just very, they're very charitable. I don't think I answered your question. What was your question, Bruce?
It's okay. No, I think we did. No, that's fine. We did right. What I did notice while I was watching you is that you have the most positive hecklers I have ever seen. I think most comics would be envy of that.
Compliment.
You had them all complimenting. That's not what I hear when I go to comedy clubs. You know,
that never happens.
It never happens to you. So what have you been doing to? Well, I think you're already doing. You may not getting the autistic message out there that we're all in this together. That it's not. They may have some challenges, but they're just still people. Do you find you're getting more into that kind of a role of sending that message?
Oh God, it's being an advocate is just there is a level of responsibility there. I think what I got to make clear, and unfortunately I didn't get to make it clear in this talk, but it's like I want people to know that it's like I don't speak for the ASD community because like I'm a terrible role model. That would be very like when I said I think during the set I said I am not like a leader. Yeah. I shouldn't be a leader. Like that would be that's kind of dangerous to give that much power to someone. But it's like. But I am glad to be an advocate. Like I'm not trying to shirk that responsibility. But what I want to give a level of positivity, but I also want to give make it clear that this is part of a spectrum, and where I'm able to get up in front of a crowd and be able to talk to like a bunch of people. I can't do my taxes by myself. Like I can't drive a car. I can't I only have rudimentary mathematics. Like that's I want to make it clear that it's sort of people have their skill sets, and just because I'm able to get up there and do that, if people might think to themselves, why can't my son do that? He goes, well, he's doing other amazing things, or she's doing or they're doing other amazing things. It's like so don't judge a book by another book. You know. Right.
And I've got you because. From what I understand about autism, that a lot of it is social skills, which is where it's not. That's not what your problem is. I just watched you go through smooth as silk, doing an awesome job relating to people and doing comedy. And I've always thought that. So how could you do that? Because I'm a professional speaker too, and it's hard for us that don't have any. Well, maybe I've got challenge. We'll leave that one for another interview. But you know, it's hard enough to do no matter who you are. And you did it so amazingly. I'm just wondering that's something that people don't realize. We always think it's about social. So, what do you have any comment for that?
Well, it's actually really funny that you're bringing that up because I don't think that I'm really doing myself proper justice for this interview because I actually have a light shining in my left eye.
Yeah. And so I'm a camera guy.
So I'm just kind of done a little bit, and that's no disrespect. That's his job. He can't help that. But it's sort of like it's funny when you bring that up because it's just I've been avoiding eye contact for most of this interview, and it's not because I have an aversion to eye contact, but it's just sensory issues come from. At least in my experience, not for others, but for me personally, it doesn't come from one thing. I don't look at it as one thing being. I don't look at it as a series of things being wrong. It's one particular thing that's wrong. You know, it's just that one thing where everything else is perfectly aligned. You know, that you have to go. Oh, that's another thing I got to worry about, right? That's one thing that ruins this whole other thing, which is more the concern. So I think that's kind of where my struggles lie. You know, is just being able to get over it. But the problem with my brain is a lot of it has to do with executive function. Frankly, it's just being able to process information and get what you need out efficiently. You know, it doesn't work like that for me. It's like, and it seems weird because I'm up there, but I'm just talking. You know, it's other things if I need to do a task. Like I mean, you know, all those times where it's like you looked in a fridge and you can't find what you're looking for. You know, my life is just one giant ketchup bottle in front of everything I need to find. So that's how I operate. You know, it's everyone's got their problems. You know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Keep doing amazing things. I'm the relish bottle beside you, so don't feel bad about being a ketchup bottle. You did an awesome job. You have a ton of fans, and I was laughing at the back of the room too. So you've got your thing going. Just keep going with it, and it's a pleasure to do an interview with my friend.
Oh, Bruce, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. You're more than welcome.